Alaykum, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Spill with MIL&DIL.
Yeah, episode 13, isn't it?
Or 14? No, we just did 13, didn't we?
It's a 14.
I think 13 or 14. I can't even remember, but either way, episode 13, 14. Yeah, so welcome back to another episode.
Yeah.
Oh, my brain's gone. Fuzzy. Let's just do a Islamic reminder.
I'll remind
What's
us
the Islamic reminder
first. We'll
today?
come then. I'll pass this to you.
Thank you. Oh my god, my brain. Today's Islamic reminder is, Dear Allah, if I lose hope today, please remind me that your plans are better than my dreams.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a powerful one.
Yeah, it is.
So guys,
It's a really good one.
it's okay to lose hope, but just remember that Allah has better plans for you, isn't it?
To fulfill our dreams.
Fulfill our dreams, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Ah, that's a nice one. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we're going to be picking a topic from what you guys have asked us. We haven't done this in a while, so we thought today would be a nice day to do that. So do you want to pick one?
Yeah.
We don't actually know.
We don't know which one it is.
Sometimes we're like, should we look at it before and then pretend?
Love marriage.
Love marriages. Oh. I don't know. Could I have love marriage? I'm joking. I'm joking. Everyone actually asks me this: Is yours a love marriage or arranged marriage? And I always say a bit of both. So I guess we can actually talk about it today. Obviously, we love marriages. Where I have this business. Well, it's pending. I don't know what's going on with it, but anyway. And I had called out to Nafees. He is a graphics designer, so he has a graphics design Instagram account where he posts all of his work on there. And I really liked his work, so I just basically messaged him on the DMs, Instagram DMs. Was like, I need someone to. By the way, I didn't know what Nafees looked like or anything. It was just because it was just all his work.
Randomly, whenever sometimes you need to do something, then you call out people and you have numbers.
Like
so
it wasn't even numbers, it was his account, Instagram account. So it was, obviously I just saw his work and I was like, oh, that's quite cool. And it was kind of like on the same lines of what I wanted. Anyway, so I messaged him. I was like, oh, would you be able to help me with my business and design a logo for me and to create some of the drawings that I had made, because it's a fashion brand. And from that he then helped me, and it was all online. Like we did like Google Chat or Google like video call, whatever it's called. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now. And we would talk on there. Again, like we didn't really have videos on it. It was just I would share my screen with him so he could see, and then he would share his screen with me. So it would be like we'd just be talking. And a few times you came on As-salamu. Then I realised, oh, it's another guy.
Actually, he did mention when quite a few times you guys spoke to each other about business, basically. He said that, no, I think I saw the name of Aisha. And I said, oh, is she an Asian girl? And he said, yeah, she is. And then maybe because I wanted him to be married, so he started thinking, And then obviously through the business, whatever you guys were speaking about, then...
Because we would speak for like 2 or 3 hours on the call sometimes, and then it would just be
a couple of times your mum was there as well.
And then Nafees then had, because my mum went to Pakistan at this point, and she wanted to see the design, so he then had my mum's number, you had my mum's number, we all had like each other's numbers, and then I think he obviously then turned around to his mum and said, Mum, I really like Aisha, and then I had to then call my mum a couple of weeks later or
so that's why it's BF both, because they liked each other obviously through the business, but then obviously it's been arranged by families. Then when we got involved and we went to see each other's families and talked about it, and then I asked for the hand in marriage.
Yeah, and then it went from there. So that's the story.
So that's the love and arranged. That's how it is.
So I guess that's answer this love marriage. But I think
in general
as well, obviously you're a mum, would you, because I know there are some parents who won't want their children to have a love marriage, and they would want to find their own want them to find. You know, when we listen to Chai Talk and the mum always says, no, I'm going to find someone for you. And
it is always like, I would say this, that parents do want that, you know, their child or son or daughter, wherever they get married, they should be involved or being asked at least the opinion and stuff. But now these days, because how our generation dealt with the marriages and whatever's been happening through the families or with families having the marriages, so we are learning from it that maybe if we give them chance to find their own partner, and we can help them always, and it might work. So it depends actually on the situation. I am not agreeing to this that only the love marriages work or only the arranged marriages work.
It's
on the fate as well. It's on Allah's plan as well, and
also on the two people
given test and two people's their own you know, understanding as well. So all involves in this, and that's how the marriages get succeeded. But it doesn't matter if it's the love marriage. Love marriage could be succeeded as well, and arranged as well. So it doesn't really matter. It's only depend on the couple, that how much they understand each other, how much they have the patience to deal with the situations where they come across the, you know, negative parts in the life. Then that's how it's been dealt with the marriages. But you can't say that it's only love marriages works and no arrange. Sometimes arranged marriages, like in our generation, there's loads of arranged marriages which didn't work, and there's loads of arranged marriages that did really well. So you can't.
I think it does depend. It does always come down to the two people that are married. It doesn't matter about family.
Sometimes families as well, that if a couple are okay with each other and they have the understanding and stuff, but because of the family involvement and all those things, it gets to the.
It can get a bit messy as well. But I think also, even when it does come down to that, if it does ever come down to that in anyone's situation, it comes down to the two people. If they say we've got each other, yes, maybe so and so is being horrible, or so and so, or this person doing this, but we know that we're strong as a couple. Then you can kind of fight against anything. But then there's some where it doesn't work, where then it gets into somebody's head. They then start having arguments, and then it gets all a bit.
And sometimes I would advise, take it as advice, or take it as you know, the general thing that if something like that happens, like for example, I am talking about the couple who's really strong and they have the really good understanding between them, and only because of the families they are going to apart from each other, then they need to understand each other and sit down and talk about this, that if one of the families trying to break them up, or they both are doing it, then they should decide that, you know, we'll leave both parties and we'll stay away from them. Because sometimes what happens that, you know, some family issues creates this mess, and because of that they have to make the decision that, you know, they're going to be apart from each other. So they need to understand that the families can later date, can understand each other and be okay with each other. So if we be strong and we talk sensibly and make decisions sensibly, then we need to, for a while, need to be strong and leave both parties. Don't have any contact and don't have any relation with them. But when all things calms down, because sometimes it's only for the time being it happens, and then even the families realize that, oh, that's wrong happened, so we shouldn't have done that. So it's too late then if they make the couple apart. So it's down to the couple then, if they make right decision at that time and make it to the calm situation and then make decision, or even they can separate for a while as well if they think that, you know, this is what's gonna cause.
Yeah.
So don't go to end straight away.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No,
maybe I'm not
That's
making...
true though, because I know so many couples, like even people that I know, that because they might have married out of culture.
Yeah.
They've found something that they like out of culture, but they're willing to, they want to convert, but obviously still family alike. They're not Pakistani, they're not this and that. But so they then made the decision to, okay, for now, let's just not be together. But inshallah, maybe in the next couple of years, when you're ready, when you've converted, and when you've done your...
Not just because before marriage, even after marriage it can happen as well, the same thing, that they can, you know, separate for a couple of months. You know, sometimes in our generation, these things have been happening, that families involved, and then that issue gets created, and then all mess gets created as well. So if the time being for that situation, if you take a little bit gap from it, then make decision. But with our generation, what used to be happening, that, you know, if they're not, well, before, sometimes some other families get involved and they try to make the patch up and stuff, but now these days it doesn't happen. That they don't, nobody gets involved in it, and they don't get anybody involved in it.
Because I think when a lot of people start to get involved, then it becomes
it's
even
not
bigger.
a lot. I'm talking about
but even like 2 or 3 people, you know, say for example his mum gets involved and then her dad or mum gets involved, that's already too many people. Because me and Nafees always say, like, if we've got an issue, we need to resolve it between ourselves. We don't need to get anyone else. The only time I would probably get somebody involved if never gonna happen, but if he physically hurt me, or if I physically hurt him, he would then probably get some. That's when I think you would get somebody involved.
Yeah, little issues, it's just like with the family matters and other stuff, other arguments. If it happens,
but people get other people involved all the time. Like, you know, even this is obviously not marriage, but you know, I've been around friends, Gordo friends, where they've been in relationships and stuff, and they then, as soon as they had one argument, they'd come to me and say, "Oh, he said this," and then automatically us as friends don't like the boy because they've been treating her wrong. You know, they've said this to her, they've said this, and then she goes back to him, and then it happens again, and then she comes back and goes, "Oh, he said this, he said." So it's the same in the marriage.
Involvement is.
If I kept going to my mum saying, "Oh, Nafees is saying this, Nafees is saying this," she's gonna automatically start thinking, "Well, he's not treating her right." Or if I go to my cousin and say, "Oh, Nafees," every time we argued, they're gonna get a picture in their head that Nafees is they're always arguing, and she always comes to us whereas we don't do that. He doesn't go and run to his friends if we have an argument. We barely argue, but I'm just saying when we do, that we just deal with it ourselves. And I think people should, regardless of your age, if you're older or younger or new into marriage or 20 years into a marriage, I think you should always, unless it's if it's life-threatening, if it's affecting if it starts to affect your mental health and it starts to affect your physical health and things like that, then yes, I would. Then you would start to get...
my point is that, you know, decision shouldn't be made straight away.
But it
doesn't matter if anyone gets involved or it doesn't get involved, if you keep it to yourself and resolve it like this. But sometimes, you know, in anger, in gussa, you know, you make a decision there and then. Some people do. I'm not talking about, in general. That don't make that's why I'm against that. That, you know, we shouldn't make decisions there and then. We should think about it
because they've spoken to their friends or family members and they've gone, "Well, your mum just said this."
It shouldn't happen.
So that's what I'm saying. Whereas if, like, for example, we get an argument, Nafees can never say, "Well, your mum said that," or I can never say, "Your mum said that," because you don't know. So we can't then blame I might say, "Well, my mum told me this when I told her when we had an argument last time that you shouldn't be doing this," because I never tell her.
Yeah, you automatically have that.
So that's why I think if you're telling other people, because then I can give you an example. Like one of my friends, she told me once that they were having an argument. So that when I'm talking to her, giving her advice, she might have gone into another argument with him saying, "Well, Aisha told me that shouldn't be right."
Because when somebody asks the advice, they consider that advice. They're not just asking for it. They take that as their decision. And
then when they're in that argument with that person again, they're then thinking, "Oh, Aisha said this, and this is exactly," and then you might blurt out saying, oh, Aisha's right. She said, if you're going to shout at me again, I should leave you, blah, blah, blah. So annoying. Nafees is just poking his head to it. So I think that, whereas in our case, we don't ever say that, because one, Nafees never comes to you or goes to Ryan or goes to his friends and says, Nafees, stop it. Could you come and say hi?
I think love marriages should be banned.
Banned? Oh, okay. So then we don't ever have that conversation. It will be, well, you said this, or he will say, well, you said this. So it's blaming each other more than, because I feel like when other people get involved, you're then quick to say, well, my mum was telling me this, or my dad was saying this.
You get influenced basically by the other person's advice. But sometimes you do need, I still would say that sometimes when you can't think straight, you are really depressed for something, and
depends on the person. Because I would never go to anyone, regardless if me and Nafees get into a really big argument. I would never go to anyone, because I can deal with it.
It
but
depends,
some people,
it's right that it depends on the person, how strong that person is, how straight he
because
can
I know
be.
as soon as I go and tell someone, they're going to have that negative thought on Nafees, and I don't want that. I don't want anyone to think negatively, regardless if he's upsetting me, but I don't want others to think negative of Nafees in that situation.
And obviously he does whoever's going to ask, they're not going to tell how right or wrong the other person is. They're going to say, I'm right in this, and that's what I did, because he's going to put his own or her own thinking and when they're telling some other person, and that's how the other person going to react to that situation, and they're going to give their advice or opinion to that situation. So it can be that you should deal with yourself, but again, when it goes to stream, then
I think when it is extreme, like if he started to hit me, or whatever the reason, then
then automatically, obviously, the person would do that. Would involve somebody.
But then some people don't know, and this is where a lot of people who are getting physically hurt don't involve anybody because they're scared. Nafees, look at him. Oh, you're gonna have to cut all this out now.
No, it's part of the podcast.
So basically, he's distracting us because.
So I'm going to cause an argument with him now.
I won't be involved.
But I just think, because I just know, just from when with my friends, and even even people who are in marriages, and they've come and told us about their situation. Now, a lot of us will already have a negative thought of that person. So we won't enjoy spending time with that person because we know they've upset.
Right, but let's say that whoever's listening to this podcast, we want their opinion as well. What do you think that in a situation like if the couple is having any kind of arguments or differences between them, do you think they should be discussing it between themselves and solve it, or or they should involve anybody or ask anybody's opinion, when they should involve? So what sort of your thinking is, and what's your opinion about it? So if you are listening to this podcast, can you give us some feedback and some comments that, what's your thoughts?
Opinion. Yeah, because there's been so many situations where I've not liked the person's partner because they've told me things about them. So automatically I'm like, well, you don't even treat her right. So I will be nice to you because
whatever the person telling you, you are going to have thoughts or opinions about it like that, if she or he is telling you, oh, my partner does this to me or that to me, then you can automatically say that, why he's wrong, why does he or she does to you.
Yeah.
So you will give your thoughts and they will go into her or his head, and whenever they'll go back to the partner and they'll have those opinions, those thinkings in their head, know that on. So,
and that can influence them because they might not be thinking that. And some people, and it's really hard because if you're not mentally strong, then it is hard. You want opinions. Some people want opinions and advice from other people, and they're allowed to do that. 100% people are allowed to go and say, I need your advice. Mum, I want your advice.
Because sometimes what happens that the person knows that, or they don't have confidence. They should learn to have build the confidence, but if they don't, then they will automatically will go to the other person.
Yeah.
But still, for those, I would say that they should go to the person who they trust, that that person is not going to create problem, and they will help
because sometimes in that situation they'll go and ask 5 different people.
Yeah.
And it should be just that one person. That, for example, if it's a mum, just ask your mum. Don't ask your this friend, and your cousin, and your auntie, and your whoever. Just
because
ask.
They'll confuse themselves because everybody's gonna give that different opinion.
Yeah.
Some's gonna say that, oh, it's your fault here and you should do this, and some say the other person's. So that
then also they could be that they all say the same thing and they're thinking, right, okay, everyone's saying the same thing, but they still don't make that decision. They still don't change anything. So then, because I've been on the end where my friends have always come to me, and there's people that I've, do I shut the door because it's gonna, so I'm just saying, when I used to live with my friends at uni, so they used to come, one of them used to come home to us and say, oh, he's treating me like this. I would ask, there was 4 of us, so ask the other 3 our opinions. And we would all say the same thing and say, you should leave him, basically. Like, he's not treating you right. He's upsetting you. You're coming home nearly every weekend, upset, X, Y, Z, whatever the situation was. But then she would still go back. Every time, they might break up, and then they would get back together. And then in the end, we would just start disliking her as well as him, because we're saying, we're giving you our advice, you're coming to us for advice, and you're not even taking it, and then you're still coming to us crying every time. Then don't ask us or do what we're saying, because and in the end, she ended up not being with him, but after such a long time. And then we sometimes would argue, not I wouldn't really, but we would suddenly be like, but you're not listening to us and we can't help you anymore. And it would feel really, get frustrated. So it can be, and you hear it a lot, like people who are might be in a physical abusive relationship or mental, emotional, and you're trying so much and it starts to cause a rift between you and that person, even though you've got a really strong bond, but then because you're thinking, well, they're not even listening and they're hurting themselves more and they're making them, what's the point? I'm trying to help them and they're not even helping themselves. Right, and you're saying, look, he's doing this or she's doing this and you're not leaving. If you leave, we will look after you, or, whatever the situation is, or you'll be better off without him or her. And they're like, they just carry on. And then you start to think, well, what's the point then?
What's the point asking us?
Yeah, then you start to feel like, well, I don't want you to talk to me about that person anymore, because I've tried so many times and you've not listened. So I'm only going to repeat the same thing again.
And then sometimes if they would have listened, that could be better decision between them.
Yeah.
But
it's hard because but it's hard because that person we would never know what that person's going through in that situation. It could be, it depends as well, because some people say, well, I've been with them for 20 years now, how can I leave them? I've got children with them, I can't leave them. And even though it's affecting everybody.
These things now going to be in this that they do make decision, but there's a lot of people, so many people who can't make decision because of those reasons, that they've got children and the family is like that they don't want to be separated or something.
There's some situations where the children are saying to their parents, look, I don't want you to break up. So even though it's probably best that they break up, but they don't want to see their mum and dad break up, so the parents just stay together for the sake of their children, because their children are telling them, please don't, I don't want you to end, I don't want this relationship to end because it will break my heart. But actually it's breaking, it's so hard.
It is hard, but I think that it's just test from Allah as well, that
I know.
You given this life and then you had the life partner with living together, having kids, and then that time comes when you have to make decision to be away from them and stay separate, and then, because it's Allah's plan as well.
Yeah.
That, and also it's life is test.
Yeah, like everything.
Test
Yeah,
that-
you go through tests all the time.
because Allah wants to see that, you know, if I put you in this so and so situation, how you gonna deal it, how much sabr you gonna have, and how sensibly
Yeah.
you gonna deal with this. So that's
It is all part of the
Yeah.
life that we're living.
Yeah.
I know, but sometimes, you know, when it's just like when it's a physical abusive relationship where then either the man or the woman's getting hit and all the time, and you're thinking, well, what other way? The only way is to leave, because otherwise you're
But the
just.
thing is, there's
'cause
no
people die.
all people good and there's no all people
Yeah.
bad. So it depends on the person where the situation is happening. That you know who's right and who's wrong, and how is that relation is going. Because obviously, until if somebody gets involved, until they know the both parties situation, both parties thinking, you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
until
and sometimes
you know
with those situations, I don't know, obviously individual people are different, but a lot of the time, I guess within maybe abusive relationship, the person who is hitting the other person, they've obviously got some trauma or some mental, like psychological issues maybe happening, that maybe they've watched their mum and dad fight, so that's all they know, so then they go and hit their partner. Or it could be that the way they release their stress and release their anger is through hitting. You don't know, it could be that they're just, some people are just psychotic and they can't control it. And it's really interesting because now, I guess in your days it wouldn't have been, oh, it's because they've got a mental health issue. It would be they're just, I don't know what you would say, but maybe now people might send them to the doctors and say, go and get help.
Yeah, that's
go
true.
and get therapy because there's something going on. Like if alcohol is involved, I know obviously this is nothing to do with our religion, we don't drink, but in certain situations when alcohol is involved, that's when they become abusive. And then because of the alcohol, it's causing them to hit, but they actually need help for the alcohol more than the actual hitting.
But the
That
other
makes sense?
situation where you saying that in our days,
I don't know what I was
the
asking.
families would even hide it.
Yeah.
Even when they getting married, if somebody have an issue, they wouldn't even tell. Even in the families as well, that living together, going to each other's houses,
Yeah.
sometimes they won't even know that the person have that issue.
Yeah.
Any health issue, mental health issue, or any other issue, and they'll get married, and when afterwards they'll find out, and they still will. Then, if there is, for example, the wife has the issue, and is arranged marriage been happened, and then they after marriage they found out that this person has that kind of issue, mental issue, health issue, then that person will hide. Instead of, that's what's been happening, that they will hide. The parents hide it because they wanted her to be married or him to be married, and if it will be disclosed, and then instead of going to the right path, that go to the doctor, have that issues being sorted,
or medication
or whatever. Instead of that, they'll keep a secret, and that issue will be getting more worse and worse because of not going to medical.
Yeah, but I think also back in like your generation, back in your day when you were like my age or even younger, mental health issues weren't even a thing. People, maybe actually no, sorry, that's wrong. Probably was a thing, but people didn't speak about it and they didn't understand it. So say for example you had, say for example you're 25 years old, okay, you've got depression. You don't know because you've not been taught it by your school. Yeah. You've not been taught it by your friends or your family. So you're just feeling sad this whole time, but you don't understand why. And even maybe the doctors, maybe there were some maybe specialist doctors. I don't really know what it was like, but whereas now, if I feel sad, I mean, not that I'll say, oh, it's depression, but I know the symptoms, for depression, for anxiety, for all of these things that are, the mental health, and even like psychological ones as well. There's so many research now that it's
So
impossible
that's
to
the
avoid
thing,
it.
that people wasn't educated
Exactly.
before.
So it was harder back then because
Yeah.
maybe I'm not saying you, but for example, you might have had I don't know, schizophrenia, okay, but you wouldn't have known
About it.
at all. And one of my family members has schizophrenia, and now she's not married or anything. She's my hala, but because they didn't get it diagnosed, they know now. But when she was younger, you know, it's got worse.
And
So-
also, if it gets diagnosed early stage, it could be treated, and you know, some other situation can be there. But
because I speak
because
to my,
of being uneducated,
Exactly.
and also now these days you've got so much social media. Even for example, even on TikTok, we see so many things, like so many illnesses where they mention, you know, this,
and they're making
if
it
you
aware.
have this, and making it aware.
Yeah.
So we never had all that.
No.
So we wasn't educated, and that's why this thinking was as well, that if later date somebody finds out about somebody in family that they have that issue, or knowing that you know what is exactly issue is, but just that person is ill.
Yeah.
So they would hide it.
Yeah.
So
they would, we would hide if someone was ill and things like that. Because even like, you know, pregnancy, when someone's pregnant, they hide it, don't they? You shouldn't share it. But it's such a like pushy moment that everyone wants to.
Right.
But it's like, no, hush, hush, hush.
That's another thing, that if you just doing it for the nazar's sake or something, but they used to hide it.
But even with the family, don't they? They hide it and things like that. But when it's such a big blessing that you would, I get nazar, obviously there's like strangers you wouldn't want to share it with.
But with the family.
Yeah, but with family you wouldn't. But I just think like psychological illnesses, even now sometimes people are a bit like hush hush, because if someone's got schizophrenia, because like for example schizophrenia can be quite dangerous, and you know they can hurt people, and they can't control what they're doing. And there are probably some people who have schizophrenia maybe and are a bit embarrassed to tell the others that they have it because of the negative stigma around schizophrenia. But there's this guy on TikTok, he has schizophrenia, and he posts like he's a dad, he's got 2 or 3 kids, and he posts about it all the time, and sometimes he will record himself when he's having an episode.
Oh, okay.
And like even like, because I remember because I've seen my my family member who has it. When I was young, I used to be scared of her because they would always say, people would say to me, just be careful, because you get these comments you get in. So I'd be worried. And when she used to come up, and she just used to come and say hi because she knew who I was, and she would come and like touch my hair, and you know, because you wouldn't come and sit next to me and touch my hair, like that. It's not normal in that sense. And she would come and like make noises and I used to get really scared because for me that was something that I never experienced. But obviously now it's different because
that's right.
I know about it.
The problem is.
I just thought, you know, people used to say, oh, she's just crazy. And it's not that she's crazy, she can't help herself, and that's how she is. And she was actually trying to communicate with me, but I thought she was trying to like upset me or hurt me, because I was like 6 years old, 7 years old, I was really young. And like I remember one of my mumbles, he said like, don't worry, she's not going to hurt you, because obviously he understood and he like would help her. And
because they live with them, they know that
know what she's like,
how bad it can happen.
But obviously, they would keep her away from people, kind of thing, because of that. Others would think, oh my gosh, she's crazy, or she's gonna come and do something.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but it is really sad. But nowadays, you know, you never know. We could.
That's why I said these social media sometimes can be
beneficial
as well. That because of that, we having all those awareness about illnesses, all those other things as well. Just because of the social media, but some people take a wrong way as well, and it's I don't know what's the word for nuksan.
I know.
But mostly it's beneficial, the social media, where you can have all sort of.
I think if people use it in the right way,
that's what I meant.
If people use it in the right way, it can be very educational. You know, like how we're doing ours, spreading our relationship and things, and how much positive it's come out of it.
Right.
But people mostly post about the negative sides of it.
Yeah.
And then that's why everyone is like, well, I don't want to live with my in-laws, or my mother-in-law is going to be horrible to me, because that's all they see.
That's right.
So it's like a full circle. We just come back round to exactly why we're doing Spill with MIL&DIL. It's all, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good conversation. It started with love marriages, but we went on for something else.
Something else. That's what always happens,
Yeah,
But because obviously, however you talking and something else comes in, and then we talk
sometimes
about
it's nice to do that, because then you end up talking about different things. And
yeah.
But love marriages, if you want to have a love marriage, go for it. Just make sure your family are also happy with
That's right, yeah.
Families. Do you know what, actually, I wanted to say quickly, when I was younger, I used to always have this thinking that, like, if I find someone, I don't care if my mum don't like them, or dad don't like them, I want to marry them, I'm going to marry them. But actually now, obviously, because of how important it is, this was when I was like 13, 14 and growing up, and I used to say to me, Saki, sometimes I'd be like, yeah, it doesn't matter if I like them, it doesn't matter what mum and dad think, like, I don't care kind of thing. And now, especially when me and Nafees were
growing
getting
up
married,
and now you
and it is so important, because you do want your partner to get on with your family, and not even just your mum and dad, but your whole family. And
maybe year, 2 years you'll be okay living alone and no family involvement, but it'll get boring. And then
we were saying this the other day.
You will want your family to be involved and going to see them and do things with them and spend time with them.
I think it comes with maturity.
That only can happen if you have their opinion as well when you find somebody. So it's nice.
And I think as you get older, you mature more, so you realise, because when you're younger, you think about maybe yourself. Yes, you love your family, but you want to spend time with your friends, you just want to do things for yourself, be happy. But as you get older, you do want to spend more time with your family, and you realise the importance of family. Not that I ever...
And I always say this, that it's balance of any relation, like friends, families, couple, all those relations in life. जितने भी ये जिंदगी में आपको रिश्ते मिलते हैं, बहन भाई का रिश्ता, माँ बाप का रिश्ता, कपल एज ए मियाँ बीवी का रिश्ता, दोस्त अहबाब और बाकी रिश्तेदार, सभी की अपनी अपनी जगह है. Everybody has their own place and their own, so it should be balanced in each and every way.
And no one can ever, I think everyone can be replaced. Like, you can replace your friends, you can even replace your partner, but you can never replace really your family. Especially your parents, because obviously they were here before you.
And parents are blessing. आपने कुरान मजीद में भी पढ़ा सुना होगा कि माँ बाप जो हैं उनका कोई नेमुल बदल नहीं है. Nobody can replace them.
No.
Your own parents are your own parents. And उनकी जो हिदमत जो उनके साथ मोहब्बत से पेश आना और सब कुछ होना चाहिए, that should be must in your life. And वो blessing है, माँ बाप आपके लिए blessing है. तो उनका opinion लेना, love marriage है या involve करें, you should involve your parents, that you give your...
And it's such a nice feeling. When mum and dad said, oh, he's such a nice guy, it automatically made me not like him more, but I was like, oh yeah, if my parents like him, like, of course he's a good guy, and I'm sure he felt the same when you both were like, whatever you said, if you said anything nice, I don't know.
No, we did. Obviously, we do dua for them to be living successful life. So, like I said, that is a blessing. If parents with you and they understand you and you understand your parents and their involvement.
It just makes life easier.
It
does. Okay, so should we do Auntie's advice?
Oh, yes.
So what is your advice today?
My advice is today that be kind and never be a reason for anybody's tearing eye.
Oh, yeah.
So मेरा कहने का मतलब है कि नरम दिल बने और किसी की आंख का आंसू की वजह नहीं बने. So that's my advice.
I like that one. Okay, so we're going to end with reading today's Islamic reminder. So, dear Allah, if I lose hope today, please remind me that your plans are better than my dreams. Inshallah. And what's our word? What word should we have for today?
Love.
Love. But love marriages.
Because it's
love marriages. So if you got this far, please comment love marriages and give us any feedback
That's right.
for our episode today, or anything that we can improve on.
I always say this, that your feedback give us more encouragement to spread more positivity
And continue doing Spill with MIL&DIL as well.
So inshallah, we will wait for your feedback.
Yes, and inshallah we'll see you next week.
Inshallah.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.